We are live 364 days a year.
What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I've told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan. Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get sushi after Monday Night Raw?
Good evening from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, and it is a Monday, and you guys know what that means. It means it's a Mailbag Monday. We're going to be answering the questions which you guys have submitted, as well as your hot takes, as well as going to be a really exciting episode, and we've got some great comments out of the gate. We have Bobby Batista in the comments, shout out to you. We have DCX Warlord saying, put the M's up for Metaphor. We have Fernando saying, happy Cinco de Mayo, Wrestling Republic crew. And we got Numero 1 saying, mail time, mail time, mail time. It's mail time. Happy Mailbag Monday, Wrestling Republic. Absolutely. Before we get into any of the questions, let's get into the panel. How are you on this fine Monday, Clark?
Happy Cinco de Mayo to everybody out there. I'm stoked about it. This is one of my favorite holidays, I will say. Obviously, we've got Mexican Independence Day coming up September 16th, so don't get that twisted. But Cinco de Mayo is a great one. I can't wait to talk about all of this mail we've got. I love getting mail every Monday and answering the people's questions.
Absolutely. It is always great when the mailbox is full. And today, we might have actually have had a record amount of hot takes / questions submitted. I think we had like 30 something, but we have picked the best 4, or I guess the most, I don't know, ones we can really get into and debate. But also joining us today, returning to the show for the first time since WrestleMania. Well, actually, the first time since the quiz, but the first time on a mailbag since WrestleMania. We have Soul. How are you, Soul?
I'm fine. Just sorry, his phone's a bit funky today. But I have some issues. What's with that intro? Like, you pick every footage of me to have with the stupid haircut that I didn't, or the stupid afro that I had before. Of all my footage, you pick those. Disappointed, Allison. Disappointed.
To be fair, most of it is from the WrestleMania vlog, because we've got so many clips from the daily broadcast, but we actually don't have, well, we do have the footage, but it's a headache to go through the daily footage. Whereas for the vlog, I just had it. So I was like, well, screw it. We'll use that until we get some better moments going on. We got quite a few comments over on Instagram. We got Word2M$ and Super Porky 35 joining the debate, WWE or AEW. We're going to be getting into that a little bit later on. Soul, I can tell you are thrilled. But before we do, let's open the mail and go to a question from GT20.08, who says Drew McIntyre shouldn't be in the United States title picture at all and should be the one to dethrone Jey Uso. A big take. Clark, I want to get your thoughts out the gates.
I like the idea of McIntyre in the world title picture. We've seen it often. We've seen it already. He's held this belt before, right? You know, he had his moment at a Mania 40, taken away. But at the same time, I don't mind him being in the U.S. title picture right now because there's a lot of great matchups in the U.S. title picture. What I really want is the best for McIntyre, and he kind of deserves a push here. It was a little bit funky what happened at the Rumble. It was a little bit funky how it went down, the way his booking led into WrestleMania this year. Drew McIntyre is a top talent. I don't have a problem with either one, as long as he's featured in a positive way that moves him up, because we haven't been able to do that as much as he deserves of late. It seems like he gets to a spot and then he gets knocked down a peg, basically unintentionally. I think just because he's so talented. And I'd like to see in the near future, whether it's the U.S. title or the world title, more unstoppable Drew McIntyre, something closer to what we saw along the way to WrestleMania 36. If he's going to be a babyface, that doesn't seem to be the case right now. But if you're going to do it as a heel, that much momentum. I want that much momentum behind Drew McIntyre, no matter which title he's challenging for. That's the priority to me over whether it's the US title or the world title.
Fair enough. And listen, I do, to be honest with you, agree with GT20.08, who is saying this, because honestly, I still think, Clark, that he should have been in a bigger position at WrestleMania. I think he should have been in that four-way match. Oh, sorry, that three-way, the night one main event, because I get it, the ties to Heyman was why he wasn't there, but even still, him being there would have made a lot of sense. My hope now is perhaps they put him with The Rock or something, but I don't know how reliable that would be.
Yeah, and I also don't. It'd be a nightmare if he's the third guy somehow in the Seth thing. So like, don't do that either.
Yeah,
right?
I don't want that either.
That would be a nightmare. It doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, like I said before, either title I'm cool with, but he needs to be re-elevated because headed to the Rumble, I pictured him as one of the favorites to win that event, and he performed excellently in that event. And it just seemed like we got not much out of it other than, was he mad at LA Knight?
It is true. And then we didn't even end up getting anything like resolved with that LA Knight situation either. It was just kind of felt like all year he was feuding with the Bloodline. They were building something up. And then the last second, they just pulled the rug away from him and he fell on his face into a match with Damian Priest.
Exactly. And I also think Bobby Petito has a great comment here. And I think that's part of the reason I'm hesitant to say no on the US title thing. Jacob Fatu versus McIntyre would be a heck of a matchup.
It would be.
If that's a US title match in the near future, okay, where do I sign? I'm in.
That is true. I mean, maybe you could do something with Drew where he suddenly becomes, the main champion on Friday Night SmackDown, because he says, John Cena's not here week to week. I'm the United States champion. I am here every week, and you guys still don't appreciate me. And then maybe from there, we do build to a Drew McIntyre face turn. I'd be potentially interested in that. Number one says Drew should not be in the US Championship picture. If it's just a short-term thing, he doesn't have a problem. But long-term, he thinks he needs to be featured in one of the better programs. Fair enough on that. Soul, of course, you are Scottish. You were a Drew McIntyre guy. I'm not sure if you are anymore. What are your thoughts on this one?
Oh, well.
Extreme Yard just hates this.
I'm like, Drew redeemed himself at Mania. He got the win very dominantly, and I'm happy. So I'm a Drew guy again. I love my boy. Here's the thing, though. Is there anything you could add with Drew McIntyre in the US title picture? There is. And it's quite a big thing. What's the one belt Drew McIntyre hasn't won on the main roster? It's the US title. We'll make him a Grand Slam champion. You can easily turn that into a story. So yeah, he can absolutely be in the US title picture. The US title in itself has been a absolute third-rate belt in itself. From the terrible reign of Nakamura, LA Knight's reigns have been terrible. Even Logan Paul. The last time I think the US title was relevant in my mind was when Bobby Lashley held it during the Thunderdome era. So that was before Fury and all that malarkey. So this title hasn't really meant much. It's a beautiful looking title, but it hasn't meant much in a very long time. I think Jacob Fatu will do the belt justice. I think with how he's recepted by the crowd and love, that he will put a good stamp on it. If McIntyre wants to go face or Jacob go face, you can have that be his thing. It's like, oh, I'm the ultimate hater, but I want to be the grand hater, so I need to be a Grand Slam champion, so I want to win all the belts I can. I've won the IC, I was the chosen one, I won the World Heavyweight, the WWE Championship, this, and that. Speed, keep it in the corner wherever it belongs. And have him win the US to get that Grand Slam statement. That's fine there. Just because, it's like what I say with all these mid-card belts, and there are people that need to belong in that field and who shouldn't really move up and down, because you need people to stay in that particular field. But when you have a main eventer like Drew come down into that title picture, as long as you tell a good story with it, then I think there's something you could go with it. It's like what they're doing with the women's IC with Becky Lynch. I think Becky Lynch could add to that, because there is a story that you could tell there of the veteran of the man taking the women's IC and make it truly the women's workhorse belt, what the men's IC is. So for Drew, I think the main story you tell is this Grand Slam status for him, because he's won everything else: Money in the Bank, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania main eventer. It could be the one thing that he maybe doesn't get. It could drive him mad, like Sheamus with the IC. So there is a story you could tell with this. So it could be a good placement for him.
Do you know what, Sol? You have changed my mind. I actually didn't even know that is the one title he hasn't won. That's fascinating. Tell that story. Why aren't they telling it to us?
Because they're too busy releasing people.
You're not wrong on that one.
Deep
We've
cut,
got-
but I like it.
It is facts. Lord Virus of Nugor says hello to you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Meanwhile, Just Apart has a brilliant comment here. Drew is winning it, which will leave Fatu versus Solo without the championship on the line. Of course, at Backlash, it's a 4-way. Fatu doesn't have to be pinned. Could he drop it this early?
That would be stupid. That would be stupid. Look, here's the thing with a lot of, especially the US title, is there's hardly any defenses. Nakamura had one DQ defense and then dropped it back to LA Knight. It's the same problem that I've had with some belts in other companies, is that, especially with these mid-card belts, they should be something that, I like championships to have a lot of defenses, right? It shows that they're dominant, it shows that they've growth, it shows that they have this potential, right? To then go up to a bigger style if they so wish to. The US title needs a dominant reigning champion, and that's what Jacob Fatu is. Yes, I know everyone wants the solo feud, right? But how about let him just be him first? Don't show himself. And people say, well, he doesn't need to be cemented. You know, he's already there at that status. Didn't people think for that for Solo Sikoa? And now he's basically the third-rate guy in his own little group.
That's true.
Like, you need to show a dominant style, and I think that's what we're going to get, is these long-reigning mid-card championships with Dominic Mysterio and Jacob Fatu, because the longer you hold the belt, the more you look dominating. How good did Gunther look with his 666 day as IC champion?
Very
good.
good.
I know people were like, put the belt on Sheamus, put the belt on Chad Gable. You didn't have to. I know people want things now and switch this, right? Me personally, I like long dominating reigns when they work and make sense, and not just somebody who's held the belt, goes off films a film, or sits in their condo and then comes back to work. Have it make sense, have it be work, and have it be something that you can build upon.
Fair enough. Fernando says that is an excellent point. Taking the US title from Fatu so early would be terrible. And Soul, I do agree. My prediction, and we all know my prediction record as of late has just been awful. But my prediction is that he's going to hold it until SummerSlam. Then Solo is going to screw him during a match, and that's when he will drop it. As for Dom, though, Soul, I do disagree with you. I think he's going to be dropping that very, very quickly indeed. And then they'll do this feud with Balor. No way they're going to do 2 turns.
Nobody cares about Balor anymore.
I mean, to be fair, you're not really that wrong, are you? Clark, do you care about this Balor and Dom stuff? Because I've not heard you actually talk about the Judgment Day for a little bit now.
No, I didn't care about them when they were like hot as the Judgment Day. Why would I care?
We know
now?
that.
It's only gotten worse since I didn't like them in the beginning. Like, yeah, no.
You hated them when they were hot.
If they did something really good, maybe I would like them better, but they didn't even do that when everyone else liked them.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I can't really disagree on... Well, I can disagree on the original stuff like I did at the time. I thought they were great then, but now I barely care. Fair enough. I mean, Marty says we care about Balor, the company doesn't, and I do think that sums it up pretty well. It kind of has felt like he's always just not being given what he deserves.
Full reboot. Full reboot is the only.
They've done that 4 times.
Right.
Yeah, but this time it's not his fault. The other times it might have been his fault. And
I don't
one of them
think
was
any
the
times
injury.
it's been his fault.
Let's discuss Balor, right? Just very quickly, I'll go on a wee little thing about Balor, right? Finn Balor, when he was Prince Devitt, was probably one of the top names in all of wrestling. Started the Bullet Club, the stuff he'd done in Ireland as well, with establishing his wrestling school that trained the likes of Becky Lynch and with JD McDonough at his side as well, right? He was a very important element within wrestling in the past. He got to WWE, NXT, exceptional, right? But then when he got to main roster, Universal title, great thing, right? But what I think is obviously with that injury, Vince McMahon at the time saw him as like, I can't really trust this guy to do anything, because he gets injured when he wins the title. And we know how Vince mentality was. He's not very the smartest or the best kind of guy, right? One thing you do up, you're that thing forever, right? The thing with Finn Balor is that whenever it feels like it's his moment, somebody else comes in and takes it. There's always somebody who's always stepped over him and got to the front of the queue. He is an integral person, but also as well, everybody goes to the Demon. The Demon is one of the worst kayfabe gimmicks of all time. It doesn't win anything. What? It doesn't win anything. Every time he's been the Demon, it's been a failure. The top rope snaps. He loses the Hell in a Cell to Edge. He loses his IC belt when he was the Demon as well. The Demon is the worst kayfabe gimmick because it doesn't win anything. When he comes out
It
the Demon,
historically has. It's just the last couple of times it hasn't.
He's on a bit of a skid.
when I see the Demon Finn Balor come out, I know he's losing.
Wow. Big statement there. I mean, personally, I'd love for him to bring the Demon back and to just tear it up with him.
I also think there's like stones unturned. Like, think about it. You know, he was the Fiend's debut, and likely what was going to be the rematch come back around, Fiend Demon. We never got it, right?
We never got it. Well, we never got it because he went to NXT. He got sent to NXT and he wanted to do that. But like, especially in this kayfabe's dead world of wrestling media right now, does horror and spooky characters work? Would we take something like the Demon really seriously, and the general public as well, when he comes out, does the whole thing with the thing, tongue out and everything, and then you see The Rock going like, "Oh, it's a stellar show." Even Mr. Balor in the face paint was exceptional. I loved it. I'm gonna drink my
I
tear.
think
Like,
people can still suspend their disbelief.
I don't think it works. I think that the Demon is something. It's like typecasting in a way. That Finn Balor's always been typecast as like the Demon. It's so cool. It's awesome. It prints merchandise. It looks good on video games. It looks good on posters. But kayfabe vibe, it's a terrible gimmick. I think it's him being like everybody wants him in that role because it looks beautiful. The Demon Finn Balor is a cool looking character. Don't get me wrong. Good for video games. Good for merchandise and all that. But kayfabe wise, I'm pretty sure we pull up the statistics right now. The Demon Finn Balor's win-loss record is terrible. Maybe in NXT,
no
in NXT
way.
Good. I bet you when we done recording, we'll pull it up. You can make a little thing on the Instagram page and people can make the little comments. It's probably the worst performing kayfabe gimmick.
I have no idea like how we can actually get the stats for that, but I'd love to because that is fascinating. But to your point, Soul, about horror characters right now in wrestling, the fact is they aren't working. But the reason I don't think they are working isn't actually the characters. To me, I believe the actual issue is the fact that I don't think Triple H nor Tony Khan actually like spooky horror characters. And they're obviously the ones with the pens right now. And I think that's actually the real reason.
I just don't think it worked. I think wrestling has moved past the supernatural era. We don't need it anymore. It's not something that works. Where's the Wyatt Six? They worked in their initial.
Apparently.
They worked in their initial debut, and everyone was really hyped about it. Maybe people can get back into it again. But we saw the House of Black. They were very good, but then they were doing this thing with the mist. It's like, oh, they taint people now. They changed their mindsets. It's a heel and face thing, and it happened with Julia. But then Pac got misted. He just wore an eye patch, and then nothing happened. Like even in Impact when Su Yung was on the roster, like that was really good horror themed stuff. And then like she went away and never came back to the company. I mean, House of Torture, is that really like spooky gimmick sort of stuff?
That's not a spooky gimmick though. That's just a rubbish gimmick. They just cheat.
I know we could go on this, but like we've got other topics to do, but I just don't think
we do. I mean, very quickly, just for 30 seconds before we move on, Clark, I do want to get your 2 cents on this because, of course, you grew up in that era of spooky characters. Yeah.
I mean, look, I dig a little bit of that in wrestling. I think, you know, you can spread stuff throughout the card. I think like Aleister Black, Malachi Black's an interesting thing. Like Soul had mentioned the face paint. Now he comes back to WWE and they're like, let's just do 2 different colored contact lenses and see how that works. Like, I don't know. He doesn't seem as supernatural now. They're focused on the kicks and whatnot. I do agree with your original point though, about the guys with the pencil right now aren't necessarily fans of that style so much. I think there's time and place, and it definitely depends on also the performer, because I loved The Fiend. I loved the idea of Bray Wyatt doing the Funhouse and all of that. And obviously, rest in peace. That one's, you know, tragic. Or even in Brody Lee wasn't supernatural, but just the spookiness of leading the Dark Order. We've lost 2 amazing talents that worked styles like that. Right. And so I do think there's time and place, but I also agree with Soul, like the over the top stuff, like people getting struck by lightning from The Undertaker. Or like
that was dumb.
Like
I'll agree with that.
There's a bit that should be left in the past, but a little bit of extra supernatural or a few question marks left within a character, I still think is very doable in today's modern era.
Yeah, exactly. You need to do enough to suspend people's disbelief, but not enough to, you know, like struck by lightning.
Just over the top is like, I will say, as a child, the episode after that, I went to a show with my dad, and in the car, my dad goes, "Why are you so nervous? You're always so excited to go to wrestling." I go, I'm not gonna get struck, right? My dad's like, no, you're not gonna get struck by lightning.
Oh my God.
I was terrified. I was like 7 years old.
Marty says that Balor needs to go back to New Japan. Fernando says he is damaged right now. He needs a character change badly. Just the part says Roman killed the demon and Soul was spitting facts. And Bobby Petito brings up Abaddon, another one who was brought out just every Halloween in AEW. That was it. But David Mard says the White Six is still over, and I am inclined to agree with that. I just think, obviously, they're just not on TV right now, and there's not much that really can be done with that. But up next, let's move to the next question. Let's put a hand in the mailbag one more time, because at Ollie.chaff has sent in a question, well, a hot take, saying Naomi should win Money in the Bank this year. She's earned it, and cashing in on a newly crowned champion, Jade Cargill, would help elevate their rivalry. Clark, I have been vocal about how much I've been loving the Naomi new character. I think it has been absolutely exceptional. But what is your take? Oh, what is StreamYard doing?
No more glow right now, but we've got the caution tape, and I am in 100% agreement that Naomi's heel run has been excellent. I love the idea of eventually fully paying off her and Jade Cargill in some way. And I love Naomi leaning into carrying the Money in the Bank briefcase. Here's my only fear, though. I've always believed a heel is better at carrying the Money in the Bank briefcase, but if you do it long enough and effective enough, it's hard not to cheer the cash in. And we need her to be sadistic enough holding that briefcase to get to Jade Cargill that we're like, no, don't do this to Jade. My fear is we get all the way there. Naomi puts in a lot of great work. She cashes it in. She pins Jade Cargill, and the crowd goes ballistic. That is my biggest fear. I love the idea. It's kind of on Naomi's back to carry this, to make us angry enough at her to showcase Jade Cargill as the definitive good, earned it good guy, and make that cash in like an oh no moment and not a Naomi did it. That's the only caveat for me. But other than that, I love the idea, and I do love the take. Yeah, I think it makes sense.
I'm going to quickly provide a possible theory to you, Clark, right? What if Bianca Belair joins Naomi, turns heel with Naomi in the next month or two, right? Then at Money in the Bank, Naomi wins the briefcase. Then at SummerSlam or whatever, heel Bianca Belair defeats Tiffany Stratton for the SmackDown Women's Championship, or the WWE Women's Championship, I should say now. And then perhaps down the line, Naomi turns on Bianca Belair again, and then Bianca Belair's in a weird place, kind of second guessing herself, giving her the much needed character change that I do think she needs.
I think that could work, but then we're back to Naomi will be the babyface in that scenario again.
Well, even then, you can run with that. Then in that situation, you can just keep Bianca as a face, as a heel. Sorry, you could do either way.
You absolutely can, and I don't hate the idea, but my fear is again, Naomi has put in this much work to entirely change the character. I don't want it to turn into a 6-month flash in the pan. Like, remember when Naomi wore the caution tape and was mad at everybody?
She needs to keep it.
She needs to keep it. And not only that, she needs to keep it up. She needs to be mean. Again, continue to be mean. And I think she's capable of that.
Could I offer a opinion?
Yeah,
here's what I would do. If you want to make Naomi more hated than already is, here's how I would do it. People have speculation about an Evolution 2, right? You know, an all women's pay-per-view, which would be great to have. I would have it after Money in the Bank to do this. Naomi wins Money in the Bank. On Evolution 2, maybe it's the main event or something like that, you do like a women's showcase battle royale. Remember when Roman Reigns was in the Royal Rumble and he had the WWE Championship and basically he was defending it in a Royal Rumble?
Yeah, he put it on the line, yeah.
Do that for the SmackDown Women or the WWE Women's Championship. You have Jade Cargill win it, confetti going off and all that. Naomi just pops up behind her, smacks her with the briefcase, and takes the title off her. That's how you make somebody hated. You give them the moment they want. You make somebody like, oh, she's worked. You know, Jade has been eviscerated by wrestling people online saying she can't be a good worker and can't put on good matches, and she just went and survived 30 women legends, NXT rookies to get the championship, and Naomi just takes the easy way out and just smacks her over it and steals it from you. So you give them a good moment, but you take it away as well, and you could build that to a good Mania match.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that'd be
I did that.
quite some time, but I'd love it. That is for sure. Fernando says she should win it before the championship, before Money in the Bank, and then there should be a triple threat between Jade, Tiffany, and Naomi, with Naomi winning the belt. I mean, listen, I'd be all for Naomi being champion because her promo style right now is what's most impressive to me. It genuinely, that promo she cut this past week on SmackDown was genuinely a unique style of promo, which I don't really know what to compare it to. If anything, the way she was talking, it was really, really ridiculously good and ridiculously unique, but talking about things which are ridiculously good. Clark, could you talk to us for a second about our good friends over at Etsy?
Yes, absolutely. I can. Am I getting the logo too?
Yeah.
Yes, I am. Go ahead and head over to the App Store, no matter which phone you got. Download the Etsy app on the App Store or the Google Play Store. Head over to the upcoming streams section. We have all kinds of good stuff. We're going to preview Backlash. We've got like basically 2 different streams going on Saturday. Me, Big Ant, you, Cam takes wrestling takes if you know him. All of us will be on. The best part is if you've got a cell phone with a microphone on it, you don't even have to use the camera, but you're welcome to as well. You can jump in, argue with us about whatever you'd like, whether it's your opinion on my opinion of Cody Rhodes or any of the above. You will absolutely enjoy it. And here's the best part. It's totally free. You got to check it out. It's on both app stores. That's the Etsy app. That's ITSY. Check it out. I assure you, you'll love it.
Absolutely. And you just mentioned Big Ant there, right? We've mentioned him quite a bit lately. This Wednesday, he's debuting on Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast with you, isn't he, Clark?
Special guest. I've got Big Arch and Big Ant. It's going to be a big show, to say the very least, on Wednesday.
Make sure to check that out. Up next, let's go straight back to the mail and let's get one from Jose99, who says, should R-Truth screw Randy Orton at Backlash and align with John Cena, even if it's a one-off? Soul, I'm fascinated to get your thoughts on this one. Oh, wait, the camera wants to work.
I made a reel on the Soul Sessions account basically eviscerating people who fancy book like this. People that fancy book just because something sounds funny or cool and then doesn't think anything logistical about it, right? This is advertised as the last time for John Cena and Randy Orton. 2 people have had a rivalry throughout the whole Ruthless Aggression era. Go back to OVW and you want the last image of their match together in the ring with R-Truth being an idiot. Like this is just stupid, right? I mean, if anything, just do a little AA segment before Backlash and Randy Orton saves at him or something like that. Just if you really want to incorporate it, or even like a little silly TV championship match that goes like 5 seconds. Like some wrestling fans, right, are just moronic, right? They think I'm booking this great thing. I'm gonna book Seth Rollins' faction to have, Braun Breaker. I'm gonna put A-Town Down Under. I'm gonna put Becky Lynch down there. I'm gonna put also an NXT call up in there. And it's like, all right, cool, but why? Well, it's like, well, Becky and Seth are a married couple. I was like, okay, but has that been really explained recently on TV? Are they seen together backstage? Are they doing evil things together? Well, no, but I just think it's gonna be cool. It's like, well, that doesn't make sense though. It's like, well, why do you want an NXT call up there? It's like, well, I want this to be Evolution 2.0. And it's like, so you want everyone to compare this new thing that could be its own identity to something that came before in the past, right? No. Let things be their own selves, right? And this R-Truth with John Cena. You want John Cena's last year as a active wrestler to have a silly gimmick with R-Truth. Like, no, it doesn't make sense. I know R-Truth has always been like, John Cena's his favorite hero growing up. That's fine and funny, but like, this is John Cena's last year. You should put him in a high prolific story, right? He should be ticking the time away every time he comes out. Like, there should be a countdown on his Titantron when he comes out of when he goes away. The appearance date should go down after every match. He has the match with Randy, and I was like, you got 25 left. Clock's ticking before I take this home with me, right? You should build upon it, make it serious. This is John Cena's last ever run as WWE champion in the WWE. Make it serious, and he is being serious with the ruined wrestling thing. This is it's basically like the bad relationship, and you finally wake up and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna leave it, but I'm gonna burn down the house and take the dogs with me while I'm doing it.
That is actually a great comparison to make. Fair enough. But what I will say is, Saul, I do agree on certain points you made. What I don't agree with you on is the disregard of the man himself, Jose 99, and Bobby Petito backs him up, saying that would be interesting as well. But here's the thing you are forgetting, Saul, and I'm going to let you have a chance to give your rebuttal as well, Clark. But this is a long-term story here. R-Truth looked up to John Cena as a kid. He was his childhood hero. As he grew older, he wanted to be like him. He just tried to copy himself around him. And now he's seen his childhood icon turn heel, and he doesn't want to believe it. Just like a lot of fans don't want to believe it. Like a Geordie, R-Truth is the perfect embodiment of that. So, hey, I actually think him trying to join Cena and him trying to, justify Cena's actions actually makes a lot of sense for this storyline.
That's stupid. I'm sorry, that's stupid. That's so stupid. Like,
yeah, I think it's true.
Why are you gonna waste? Like, no offense to R-Truth, I know he's a decorated 25,000 time 24/7 champion, but like,
he's won real titles too.
Yeah, I know he's won the NWA when it was TNA. It's like, right, cool, that's fine enough. But like, why? Like, no offense, he's not on the caliber to be involved with this. I understand that a lot of people like him, but I just don't see it. I just don't. It's pointless. It would turn me off watching and caring. I wouldn't want to see this at all because it's just have John Cena AA him. If people really want R-Truth involved with John Cena's last run because he's made this whole thing about being his childhood hero, cool. Just do the AA on him. That's it.
Yeah, but surely from Cena's character, this was what I was saying though on Allison analysis, to be fair, because I agreed with you, Saul, that like I wanted him to just AA him. But here's the thing, from John Cena's perspective, if somebody's actually agreeing with him and what he's saying and is still saying he's the good guy, surely from John Cena's character's perspective, he actually should then be supporting that guy because they're agreeing with exactly what he's saying.
Well, even when he said that in WWE World, he was then like, well, where were you people then? Where were you people now? It was like, whenever R-Truth turned heel on John Cena and smoked a cigarette in front of his face and flicked at him before capital punishment. Back in the day.
That never happened. He was only a kid back then. Clark, I want to get your thoughts.
Okay. I think the childhood hero thing has been hysterical for a long time. And I do agree with quite a bit of actually what Soul said, but here's how I think you can do this. I do not want it to directly affect the Randy Orton John Cena outcome.
I agree on that.
Don't mind in the least R-Truth sort of volunteering his services to his childhood hero and all of that for some comedy stuff. Eventually Cena sort of takes advantage of him. And for the first time in many years, it snaps R-Truth out of it. And you can get it great if you have a special Raw main event. Ron the Truth Killings, the former NWA World Champion, against John Cena in a main event for that match for the title, and John Cena wins. If that's the result of this on a Monday Night Raw, maybe it's one of John Cena's final Monday Night Raw matches. There's a lot of history there, given Ron Killings' resume, not R-Truth's resume we're talking about here now. And if we lead to that somehow, because I know Cena's, we talk about he's still part-time, but it is the final run to have a high quality Raw main event like that, and given all of their history, but you get to a spot where it's more serious. I would be all over that.
I would absolutely love it. That is honestly one of your best takes I think you've had ever, Clark. I 100% agree with it. I love it. And it, like you said, it would be a fun episode of Monday Night Raw and something which I think would make all this R-Truth childhood hero stuff make a lot more sense.
And R-Truth, his history in North Carolina, which is, obviously we know Sting, Flair, a lot of great North Carolina wrestlers. Maybe a Raw in North Carolina. That might make a lot of sense.
Let's do it. Fernando says Cena needs real heel heat. Turning on Truth is a better idea. You could do both, which is why I like Clark's theory so much that you would achieve both. Up next, let's get into our final question of the day, submitted by legendary God Chris, who is asking which wrestling company is the best, AEW or WWE? Now, I know how everybody is going to answer this question, and that is, it depends how you look at it. Blah, 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 blah. So we're taking that off the table. I want to know one word, not one word, but one company, WWE or AEW, which is better based on the criteria which you personally think matters the most. I'll go first and get mine out of the way. I believe it is WWE. Why? Because they're still on an upward trajectory, and I am still compelled by their weekly product week to week to week, and they are right now the biggest in the world. But there are so many other great companies out there, including AEW. So you're next. What is your take on this one?
I hate this question. I hate it because it's so it's subjective. No wrestling company could be the best company in the world. Wherever you look at it, is it by financial that you guide this? Is it the wrestling itself? Is it who pays the best for talent? Is it who offers the best for their consumers? Is it who price gouges? Whoever gives the best ticket prices? It could be anything. You could think your local indie is the best wrestling company in the world because it connects to you. Like this is wrestling fans who think my company's better than your one. You're idiotic and you're stupid. Like, yeah, I love AEW, but I would still go to a WWE show. I'd spend probably as much money on WWE product as AEW products. Doesn't mean that I'm favoritism to WWE or I hate AEW. I'll never go to an AEW show again, or I'll never go to a WWE show again. It's subjective, and fans that just want to say, like, well, which one's the best? I mean, right, financially, it's WWE. They've got the $1 billion Netflix deal. They're selling out arenas all across the world. WrestleMania was in an Allegiant Stadium. They've got the Superdome for New Orleans next year. You could say it's AEW because they provide the best wrestling, because they've got stuff like Osprey and Swerve. Their women's wrestlers can do blood hardcore matches. Well, some don't do that in WWE, very rarely. You could say New Japan is the best company in the world because of the history with Antonio Inoki and the history behind it. You could say Noah because it was the company that allowed wrestlers to get looked after
What
by
this fan is
wrestlers.
asking is, personally to you, what do you think is the best? If you had to give a name for one.
I don't know because it's subjective. I mean, I could say AEW because they've got the best wrestlers and I think they produce the best weekly product. I could say WWE because financially they are the best. So I don't know. I mean, it's too hard to say. It's not even like if I say AEW, it's not because AEW is the best. It's because my favorite. That would be at the end of the
I
day.
think best and favorite, if best is subjective, like it definitely is, best and favorite, I think essentially to each individual person probably mean the same thing.
To an extent, I would say yes, but then by saying something is the best, that means that it outgrows the competition. When you say something is your favorite, it means how it has a personal connection to you. So if I said AEW is the best, people will be like, well, their ticket sales aren't as high, their attendance records aren't as high, their viewership records are that high. Is that the best then? And then no, it's not. That would be WWE's product. Heck, I could say something like, CMLL. They're selling out Arena Mexico very regularly, so maybe they're the best. I don't know. It's subjective, but I think people that focus on this question too much in some communities across all wrestling fandoms, again, as I say before, are morons.
Fair enough. I think this one, to be fair, is just asking our personal opinions on it, to be fair. DCX Warlord says, I'm betraying Christian Cage on this one. No, I love both of them. Both companies are brilliant to Sword's point. It's subjective. But my answer right this minute is WWE. But Clark, I want to get your answer.
See, I actually disagree. The way the question is worded, I think best is objective. Favorite would be subjective. For example, like I'm a huge hip hop fan. My favorite MC is Method Man. The best MC is the one who sold the most music. And so the answer to for me, the best company is WWE. It's a multi-gazillion dollar corporation, publicly traded, that's been in the industry for the longest. AEW is the best challenger brand we've seen to WWE in 20 plus years. That's an incredible accomplishment. But if we're talking about the best company, the answer is still the WWE. They do the biggest shows. They go to the biggest markets. They sell the most. That's just the answer. If we're talking favorites, I love both. I love all wrestling. Truthfully, I loved WCW. But when we were talking best, we saw the end of that competition back then. Challenger brands are important. AEW is great. But the answer to the best question. I feel like it would be unfair for me to say anything other than WWE because they've put the time in.
Fair enough. And Ewan is in the chat saying W. Clark on that one. Very fair indeed. If you Google best, the definition of the word best as an adjective, it is the most excellent or desirable type or quality, which again, then you're like, you could, as Saul said, if you think the quality of wrestling at your local indie is the best, you could argue that.
If we're talking quality of wrestling, but if you Google valuation, then the best is pretty hard to argue.
No,
against.
it is. It is, but it is a fascinating question, but it is certainly a big one. It is both subjective and, or like your point, kind of objective too. It's an absolute, we're getting into definitions again then.
Yeah, there's a lot of vocabulary for me.
So it's like the English classes when you used to have to, like analyze a poem. This says this, but it really means this. That's what it's really
I didn't
like.
realize I needed to bust out the thesaurus for the final segment.
David Mard says WWE is best. AEW is a good secondary wrestling promotion. Numero One says both AEW and WWE are fantastic, and he's a huge fan of both. It's a bit unfair to choose one. You should all enjoy whatever, absolutely, and don't just enjoy both, but enjoy all the wrestling out there, all the wrestling you can possibly consume until you can't consume anymore, and you just burst. Too much wrestling.
Too full.
GCX Waller says mine is Progress. I mean, Progress had a absolute hell of a weekend this weekend with the Super Strong Style 16. Congratulations to man like the Reese for winning it today. Also, Clark, a former guest of the Sunday Night Spotlight, Nina Samuels, is going to be in a career versus career match against Kanji. That is certainly going to be interesting as well. Anthony Manzano says for him, it's split down the middle. Both companies have had controversies. That is true as well. But that does bring us, guys, to the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Clark and thank you to Saul for joining me here today. Tomorrow, same place, same time, Monday Night Raw. Let's talk about it. Me, Clark, and Big Arch. It's going to be a fun one. We will see you guys then. Have a great day.